Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of UA Eats. I'm UA, and this is a very special episode of UA Eats. This is the very first ever international video of one of our food vlogs, and I am in Beijing, China. Specifically, I am in the famous Qianmen Square. Now, Qianmen means front door, literally, and as you can see by the big gate and castle in front of the neighborhood, this was once a bustling commercial center protected by a castle and a gate. Not quite inside the Forbidden City, but near the Forbidden City, so pretty close to the center of the city. Today though, it's still a very commercial shopping district, and as you can see, it's become very modernized in many ways. Now, there's a lot of great eats in China. In Beijing specifically, there's a lot of great eats, and we had all sorts of great eats already on this trip. However, I wanted to bring you guys along for one thing that I definitely have to eat here in Beijing: Peking Duck. Peking being another way of saying Beijing, so Beijing/Peking Duck. And people say that the best place for a Peking Duck is a restaurant called Quanjude, or, you know, Chinese is hard to pronounce, so you can probably say Quanjude if you want. Just no matter what, don't say Quanjude. Now, Quanjude is one of the oldest Peking Duck houses in all of China. This place has been around since the 1800s, when the Qing Dynasty was still reigning over China. So it's survived decades, centuries, it's still around, and it's even opened many locations and even gotten a Michelin star, so they say this place is pretty good. Then again, because of its reputation, some people think that it's a little bit overrated, it's overpriced, and it's kind of a tourist trap, they say, for foreigners. But we're gonna find out. I mean, it has locations all over China, so some locals definitely like it. So let's go see if one of the oldest Peking duck houses in all of Beijing lives up to the hype. But for now, let's get out of the heat. It's about 100 degrees, so let's get some shade and let's get some duck. So let's go. All right, here we are at the famous Quanjude, and yeah, a lot of these restaurants are quite beautiful. I don't know if they have many beautiful restaurants like this back in the US. Even the most beautiful Chinese restaurant I've ever seen back home has never been quite this ornate. And actually, there's an even more beautiful sign here. Almost looks like an imperial medallion or something. And yeah, right there, they advertise this as I think they mean original roast duck restaurant. There's already people lining up, so let's go eat before it gets too long. Alright guys, so we are inside the famous Quanjude. Now, even though this is a really fancy restaurant, it has a really casual vibe. I mean, just check it out. People are wearing like t-shirts and everything. No one's wearing like suits or anything like that. But like a typical Michelin star restaurant, the service here, amazing. The first thing they did was fix my napkin for me to give me a fancy napkin setup plate display thing. Let's take a look at the menu, why don't we? By the way, just really cool, beautiful menu. Like, look at this. It's like an actual book. It's not like a paper menu. And I love this metallic logo, so cool. So this place has a lot of great stuff, but we really are here for the roast duck, also known as Peking duck, the Beijing style roast duck. And if you've never had Peking duck before, even if you're not in China, you gotta try it. It's just incredible. It's got some crispy skin. I think the way that they make the skin so crispy is that they have to blow up the duck like a balloon. So they kind of lift the skin off of the duck, and then that way they're able to really get like a crispy skin and a juicy duck on the inside. And of course, the marinade that they use and the oil that they use is a secret recipe as well. So we are of course getting some Peking roast duck, and then they have a whole signature dishes section here. Now everything just looks so beautiful and delicate, the way it's presented. Like, just look at these things. They're like vegetables, but they're flowers. Isn't that just so incredibly beautiful? They even found a way to make walnuts look beautiful and tasty as well. But one of the most interesting things I saw was, check out this section. I mean, besides these ducks on the left. But just look on the right. They have like one of their signature dishes. They have like what almost looks like an afternoon tea-like thing. Now, these are all desserts. They're like Chinese-style desserts. Some of them are going to be mochi-like in consistency, I believe. Others are going to be a little bit more dumpling-like. Maybe dumpling was not the right word, but these kind of resemble like buns. So these are almost like dim sum-like in a way. So honestly, this is so interesting that we gotta try it. So let's just roll with those, why don't we? Peking roast duck and a Beijing Chinese afternoon tea dessert thing. All right, let's order. All right, our Peking duck has arrived, and as you saw him slicing it, it probably looked pretty good in that vid, but it looks even better close up. Let me show you real quick. So the first thing he does is he removes some of the excess skin on the outside. As you can see, it's just some delicious, oily, greasy skin, so crispy and delicious that you only get it that way when you make it the Peking duck style. Like I said, you blow it up like a balloon with air to separate it from the skin. Honestly, Popeyes, KFC, take notice. Find a way to copy this, because if you can copy this for chicken, you're gonna make like $1 bajillion. And then the rest of their pieces with skin and flesh, or meat, I probably shouldn't say flesh, they stack it really beautifully. Other places will kind of just stack it, you know, side by side. But of course, this place got a Michelin star for a reason, so it's stacked beautifully. And then I just want to show you real quick that the way you do this is it's kind of like making little, it's kind of like fajitas, you can think of it that way, where they give you some Chinese, kind of like tortillas. I'm not even sure what these are called in Chinese. I think in Chinese they're called bing, which basically is just like bread or like any sort of bread or bun substance thing. But you can basically think of these as like Chinese tortillas. And then you just wrap it up with all of your fixings. You want to do 1 or 2 cucumber, some garlic if you want it, and some sugar. You can dip it in the sugar too if you want, and some scallion. But of course, don't forget to dip each of them in the sauce, and then you wrap it up and eat it. I'm starving, I can't wait, so let's eat. But let's go with the skin first. And the way that you do the skin is that you can eat it straight up, but what you're supposed to do is dip it in the sugar and then eat that straight up. Some people think this place is a tourist trap now. They say it's mostly coasting off its hype and its Michelin star and historical status, but we will see if they are right or if they're just haters. Oh man, I gotta say, I've had Peking duck before. I mean, Peking duck I've had in the States. It's usually more oily and, you know, sometimes even a little bit chewy, but it's still good. This is just so unbelievably crispy and it like disintegrates in your mouth, yet it's still oily and juicy in a good way at the same time. It kind of reminds me of pork rinds. I think in Spanish they call them chicharrones. But yeah, it reminds me of pork rinds in duck form. Let's try one just straight up. Okay, so it's good straight up, but I now see why the local people say you really gotta dip it in the sugar, because straight up it is a little bit oily. It does almost taste like a crunchy duck oil sponge. As delicious as that sounds, it's trust me, it's not quite as good as it sounds, but you really want to dip it in some sugar, because the sugar and the oil and the savoriness, it's a perfect complement. It really cuts down on that oiliness and greasiness from the fat. You know how like the chicken skin for fried chicken is the best part? It's like that, only the skin is just, that's like the best fried skin I've ever had of any meat. But anyways, on to the main course. Let's grab one of our Chinese tortillas and let's wrap one of our Peking roast ducks, why don't we?
可能有点多。That's okay.
It's typically good practice to kind of follow the vertical cucumbers and scallions. All right, bottoms up. I think one of the best parts is that this tortilla is just so thin. Look, you can like practically see through it. Not practically, you can see through it. So it's great starch. The vegetables, of course, are nice and fresh and provide a nice crunch. I think I did too much cucumber last time, so let's just do one this time. Scallion's really fresh, but I think I slightly overdid it last time, so let's just do a little bit less. But as expected, this duck is, oh man, it's just the star of the show by far. I mean, we already talked about the skin and just how delicious and crispy and oily that skin is, but the inside is just juicy and a great temperature, not chewy at all, very, very, very tender. The mistake I made last time was not adding enough duck, actually. Let's do mostly duck and just a few veggies to switch it up. Oops, forgot to dip them in the sauce. So let's just dip this guy, why don't we? And paint the others. Doing like my Bob Ross impression. Let's paint some happy trees, why don't we? Just roll that guy up like a cigar. I guess you don't even need to close the ends if you don't want to. And let's do. I think I need a little more sauce. Oh yeah, make sure you get plenty of sauce, because without the sauce, the starch, the cucumber, and the scallions, it almost kind of masks the duck a little bit. Like the duck is not as savory as other ducks you might have, like Hong Kong style duck, but somehow you add that sauce and the whole thing just comes together. So be generous with that sauce. I'm telling you guys, lots of duck, less cucumber, an okay amount of scallion, and lots of sauce. And this is gonna be one of the best fajita-like foods you're ever gonna have. Just load it up on sauce. Well, unless you have high blood pressure, but I don't, so. That is outstanding. I think this food is great. I mean, it's definitely the best roast duck I've ever had. Any cuisine, Chinese, French, and the service is great, the atmosphere is great, everything is fresh and delicately prepared and plated. It's also actually a fairly decent portion. I mean, this is half a duck, so it's actually not too bad, I guess, in terms of portion size. Obviously, I'm an American, so what do I know? I've only ever had Peking roast duck once in China, and I've had it a few times in the US, but, you know, I'm not really qualified to judge Peking roast duck for sure, but we're actually here with my fiance Tina, who is from Beijing. Let me ask what she thinks. So Tina, you're from Beijing, so you've had Peking roast duck many times. I don't know, do you think this place is overrated?
No, I think it's great. I feel like the food is really good, and I feel like the atmosphere is really fun here as well. You can see all the old-fashioned decorations, and as a tourist, you really feel like, oh, this is the old time, and you're actually eating it when you're in like Qing Dynasty or something. And there are also actually people singing Peking opera in the background for you, so that was really fun. But the food-wise, yes, it's pretty excellent.
Yeah, so you heard it straight from Tina, the Beijing native, and Tina's absolutely right. I mean, you really do feel like you're eating within 10 miles of the Qianlong Emperor. And if I can be honest, for a Michelin star restaurant, it's really not that expensive. I think this came out to about $20. Perhaps for local Beijing people, they might say that, yeah, you can find cheaper Beijing roast duck for sure. But you know, this is a delicate Michelin star joint, so 20 bucks is pretty good for Michelin star food. And especially depending on what country you're coming from. In my case, I came from the US, so for me, 20 bucks for a meal in general, pretty good. But for Peking roast duck, I'm gonna say 20 bucks is even cheaper than any Peking roast duck you're gonna get back in the US. But let's reserve judgment for a bit because we still have dessert coming. So let's wait for our Beijing afternoon tea. Before we review the dessert though, I wanna show you one more thing, is that they have free refills of this duck bone broth. And basically this is broth that's made from simmering duck bones for hours and hours and hours until you get this clear milky substance. And what's cool is that you get infinite refills of this. So let's give this a try, why don't we? Oh, Oh, that is excellent. Especially after eating that heavy Peking oily duck, this bone broth is really a good change up. It's still hearty and savory, but it's a really nice change up to the oily duck. I don't know if you've ever had Korean solongtang, to those who may like Korean food, or if you've had like bone broth. You know how bone broth was really trendy at one point in the US. This is a really refreshing and savory and a little bit filling too of a soup. And it's nuts that this is infinite refills. So, see how much I like that? Amazing. Anyways, on to dessert. Oh, 谢谢. Alright, our beautiful Beijing afternoon tea display is here. As I like to call these little towers of death, because it's really good to make your way up as you eat. At the top though, we got some cute little ducklings made from probably some sort of mochi or gelatin-like substance, or I guess it could be like a bean paste or something. Not sure what this is, but I guess we'll find out together. This is some sort of crispy bun-like thing, probably with some sort of sweet filling inside. Pretty sure this is mochi. And this is another dessert with mochi and bean powder on the outside, and everything looks delicate and beautiful. So, let's dig in. Chow time. Yeah, that's definitely some sort of mochi. And I think I detect some red bean paste inside and some sort of like powder on the outside, like a red bean powder or something. But I gotta say, that tastes much different than I expected. That's chewy, but it feels kind of light and airy in a way. Honestly, we're off to a great start. Let's just grab this with our hands, why don't we? Kind of cool looking, right? Oh, you know what? I thought that was gonna be sweet on the inside because this is like a dessert tower, but it's a little savory on the inside. I'm not really sure what's in it, but it tastes savory. That, how do I say it? That dough is just so unbelievably flaky. It kind of reminds me of like pie crust, like almost like beef Wellington crust, Western pie crust puff pastry texture on the outside, and a Chinese savory taste on the inside. Oh, that was incredible. All in a cute bite-sized piece. Next up, notice that I have completely given up on the chopsticks. I don't want to waste any of these by having them fall on the floor. A cute piece of mochi, no doubt, just by the way it feels and looks. Like you're eating like a Cloud or edible gum or Kirby from Nintendo. Okay, I don't necessarily like that one. I feel like that one kind of has an interesting filling. It's not quite sweet enough. Like, it's a little bit too subtle, I think. And it has like an interesting crunch, almost like a carrot or like a turnip. But carrot and turnip is not really a flavor I usually like in dessert. But the mochi texture was really nice. And all right, we're making our way up the Tower of Death. Next up, we got one of these. Now, I truly have no idea what this is. That is red bean on the inside. The outside is some sort of like rice dough thing. Let's give it a try. This is probably slightly just a cultural difference. I really did not like that at all. It was way too powdery on the inside. I was expecting like red bean paste, like a little bit of a wetter paste, but it was very powdery. The rice dough really, I don't know, it really had like a weird sticky texture to it. Possibly a cultural difference. It might not just be for me, like I might just have a really Americanized palate. That one wasn't for me, but any Chinese viewers, if you like it, let me know in the comments. And lastly, a cute little ducky. It's actually really slippery. I'm glad I didn't try to pick this up with my chopsticks. It's almost like a rubber ducky from the bathtub, just covered in soap. Let's start first by biting off its head. Fatality. Huh. Okay, this is some sort of bean. I would say this isn't really for me either. Tina said this is a really local Beijing eat. I probably just don't have the right palate for this. I'm a little bit too Americanized to appreciate this. It could stand to be sweeter or saltier or something like that. But anyways, I gotta say guys, even though I didn't like everything on this afternoon tea, Tower of Death, get this. This was only $7, less than $7. Converted to US dollars. I mean, this is a Michelin star restaurant and everything is just crazy cheap compared to back home. Definitely worth trying for $6.50 or $7. But anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna say that this place, Quanjude, it kind of gets a little bit of mixed reviews. Some people say, oh, it's overrated, it kind of fell off. It's mostly riding off its hype and its Michelin status and its Qing Dynasty status. Hey, I gotta say, not for me, man, and apparently not for Tina. I felt like everything was delicious, beautifully plated, amazing service, not stuffy at all like other Michelin joints I've been to in the past where you could hear a pin drop and you get stares if you know, cough too loud or something. It's not even that expensive compared to food back in the US, at least in New York. But if you're willing to splurge a bit compared to regional Beijing cuisine, Quanjude, I highly recommend you give this place a shot. It's great food, great service, great atmosphere. Definitely try this place. You won't regret it. Let me know in the comments if you've been to Quanjude. Let me know what you think of it. If you think it's good, if you think it's overrated, if you recommend a better Beijing Peking Duck place, let me know in the comments because great minds eat alike. If you like my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. That way you stay up to date whenever I post another video. Until next time, I'll see you later.